Blog Talk Radio.
Good morning or afternoon, and welcome to the Business Success Podcast on TimeToPlay.com's Empower Half Hour. And my name is Doreen Guma. I'm the founder of the Time to Play Foundation, and I do have my group of business experts that are supposed to call in, and I am waiting for them to do that. So while I am waiting, I'll tell you a little bit about the Business Success Podcast and the goal and why we're doing this. So the intention behind this is that we know that a lot of times businesses do fail in their very first, they always say, 3 years of being in business, and we continue to let that happen as part of the experience in being in business. And sometimes things, just happen because we don't plan for the future. We don't recognize things that we might need to know to be in business. And it's not really a very difficult thing. My own personal experiences, we have been a business owner for the past 10 years. You just have to know what you're wanting to achieve in your company. And one of the other things that I've learned over the years is not to have all of our eggs in one basket as a business owner. So if, you have a business, it's very wise to diversify. Jerry, I'm on the podcast waiting for you to dial in.
I'm on the podcast on the other line. I'll hang up and
Call the 646 number, okay?
No, I dialed in as the host.
Okay, dial the 646 number because I'm on the air. Hello. Thank you. All right. So as usual, we do have some technical difficulties. Anyway, so that's one of the things that I've learned. So we started in the year of 2005 a organization called D. James Marketing, which is a sponsor of the Time to Play Foundation. So if you are interested, go to the EnjoyLifeProject.org to learn some more, which is an advocacy organization for quality of life. And so the organization that we have, like if we had just been a printer, printers have had a lot of decrease in revenues and things during these many past years. We may no longer be in business. If we were just a trade show company, trade shows have potentially decreased in attendance over these past years. We may not have been still in business. If we had been just a marketing or design company, we may no longer have just been in business because graphic design has become more of a devalued type of business in our society today because unfortunately everybody has Google or whatever, these programs that are online, and it's not a highly regarded, and it's such an important because it's not the same for you to just go on a program and you're not an expert. A person who's gone through many years of education for graphic design, learned hierarchy, learned, concept drives design, and all these other things are very important to this, the function of a graphic artist. But, sometimes business owners or people think, well, I could do it myself. Not necessarily the best option, but we are going to actually discuss, we're going to do it ourselves type of things today, and Jerry is online with us. And Jerry Siegel is, Jerry, do you want to do a little bit of background about yourself?
Sure. Thanks, Doreen. President of JSP Management. We're a business management and consulting and training firm that helps executives learn the necessary skills to improve themselves and their business, areas of communication, delegation, goal setting, leadership management, personal and organizational development, as well as time management. And certainly managing their money, which is today's topic, is something that I know very well because I'm a CPA in my first career.
Fantastic. And so we'll discuss the logistics of the Empower Half Hour logins and everything later offline.
Okay.
So if you have a second about that. But we've been doing a little bit of a business success podcast over the past, I think this is the 5th week that we've done this. And we started with how to start a business, what is a business plan, like all of that type of stuff, partners, having partners, like different things. So this topic today is manage your money. Cash flow is important. We, as business owners, do have cash flow problems a lot of times, I have to say, because we rely on clients to pay us in a timely manner, and that's not normally something that happens, right, Jerry, unfortunately.
That's correct.
And that does prove a hardship to the small business owners because, you're kind of relying on the client's funding. I mean, you're selling product, you're selling service, and that is actually revenue, for small businesses, my opinion. Not all of us have a liberty to have a very large bank account. And again, I've been doing this since the year of 2005. So it does get really frustrating sometimes. So managing your money is a very important topic. So, Jerry, when we have in our overview of this day, knowing when to spend money and when not to spend it, saving money by doing something yourself, or not, because when you're doing those tasks that might cost, because time is money. So doing a task might cost you money, where you could be making profit. So what is your opinion on that?
Absolutely correct, Doreen. And actually the place that needs to start for anybody, if they're going to have a successful business, is with a budget. That must be factor number one, so that they have some plans as to where they're going to invest their money, what they're going to invest in, and what money they're going to have to invest. Again, you have a initial base that you start a business with of X dollars, and then you have revenue as it begins to come in. But as you say, clients or customers don't always pay on a timely basis, and that must be part of the budget, so that you have some additional funds to provide to your suppliers and to use for yourself.
Right, and this is important because we've actually, like I said, over these past 10 years, we've come to situations where we've needed to buy stuff or to be able to provide resources to a client, and because somebody else has arrears in their payable to us, it does cause problems. We look a lot of times in astonishment, potentially, at the monies that we have out and the monies that we are waiting to come back in. And, we have to sometimes check to see if that's actually even more, because it's just waiting for those checks to physically come. So this is situations that we do have to deal with, and setting terms is important. We do actually have that, but we do work for organizations that not necessarily comply. So you have a choice of, do you do business with them or you don't? It's kind of a tough juggle. But Jerry's suggestion about the plan is important. That was kind of, like I said, what we did for week one, plan. And Jerry, talk about this plan a little bit more. Like, how do we even start to figure out how to start?
Well, we need to start on the positive side, and that is with revenue or anticipated revenue. And again, that may be somewhat of a guesstimate on day one, but you can begin with cash on hand, which is the dollars that the entrepreneur is investing from the beginning into their business. From there, they need to sit down and determine what their ongoing expenses are. That may be things like rent. That may be equipment that is necessary. That may be for, obviously, for telephone and internet. access the essential elements that are necessary to just open your door and begin a business, whatever that business may be. And again, as you say, Doreen, unless you are working with a cash business, which doesn't exist in too many cases, except for some retail establishments, you can plan on collecting, and you can set terms for your customers or clients, but you also can anticipate that not everybody is going to pay within those terms. And therefore, when you're projecting your revenue, you need to make an allowance, A, for late payment, and B, for the fact that a certain percentage, hopefully small, depending on credit procedures, will be for bad debts and uncollectible revenue. But you can go down the list of everything that you need to conduct your business, to be in business on an ongoing basis. We've previously indicated that it is unlikely that you're going to be taking a salary for at least a good period of time, but you may have other expenses that must be paid on an ongoing basis. As I said, certainly your landlord for rent is not going to give you an excessive amount of time to delay payment to him or her. The same thing is true of your communications supplier. Those are things that must be in place, and you must plan on being able to pay those people on a monthly basis, regardless of what revenue is coming in or not coming in.
And this is important. So go back into the planning for how you determine what revenues you're expecting and that type of thing. Let's just go back into that a little bit, because that's something very interesting.
Well, you're going to have initially on day one or prior to day one set a goal for sales, which will give you your base revenue. And using that as a guideline, probably the best thing that you can do is cut it in half, because most people do not reach their expectations, certainly initially. So if you start your business today on November 10th and you anticipate that you're going to generate $5,000 for the month of November, it would be preferable to plan on $2,500 for November, and then go from there, and possibly schedule, if you expect $10,000 in December, again cut that in half, so that now you know that for the next almost 2 months, all you're going to generate is $7,500. So therefore, if your rent is $2,000 a month, that is more than half of your liquid cash assets. Then, as I said, communication is going to add to that. Certainly that's something you need. Transportation is something that you need to provide for yourself. It may be coming out of your own pocket. That is possible, but even then, you need to allocate on a personal side what you can afford to spend for maintenance and for repairs, as well as for gas or the other energy source that you may be using in the vehicle that you're using for transportation. The vehicle may be paid for, the vehicle may be on lease, and if it's on lease, then you have a monthly payment for that. So all of these items need to go into calculating the budget on day one, so you can make an assessment as to whether or not you're going to be able to operate. And I would certainly expect that you would want to plan on at least a 6 months budget, preferably an entire year. And to do that, we're talking about taking a couple of hours of time to sit down and doing nothing else but thinking, planning, and projecting, and estimating, obtaining information from the suppliers. Obviously, from the landlord, you can pin down the amount it's going to cost you for rent from the communication suppliers. You can do the same, but there are always going to be some unexpected expenses, and that would be something that could be projected in that same category as unexpected expenses, and you could allocate $1,000 or $2,000 for that category. If you didn't use it, that would be great, but at least you would have it available if it was necessary.
So have we started talking in the beginning about determining if you're yourself, or if you should focus on the business, or if you should hire somebody, or how you should do, the functions? So what is your opinions on that type of thing, like as far as how to make the decision about doing it? I mean, it would be wonderful if we can hire people all the time to do stuff. It's kind of a luxury a little bit. How do we gauge whether we should or we should not, ask for somebody's assistance to accomplish a task?
Well, the entrepreneur, Dorena, on day one needs to decide and know what his or her highest payoff activities are. And in all likelihood, the highest pay activities initially are going to be planning and goal setting, and then sales, because that individual is going to be the expert in whatever they're doing. They're the ones that are going to need to be going out and generating revenue. So therefore, a good portion of their time needs to be spent in that area. Now, as you say, it's nice to be able to utilize expertise from others in areas such as a website or other internal functions, but that costs additional money as opposed to what somebody could do it to themselves and what they're going to gain by doing it themselves, as opposed to what they're going to lose by obtaining an outside resource. So balancing utilizing outside resources versus utilizing your own time is based on A, the resource that you have available, and B, the expertise. For example, if you don't know anything about websites, you certainly don't want to start to plan on designing your own website with the help of whoever you're going to use to host that, because that's going to take an excessive amount of time away from the higher payoff activities.
And that's absolute. And then a lot of times, which I've recognized, and this is what I was speaking of in the beginning, about the different skill sets. Like a person who knows how to do a website, in comparison to the success that you would have making your own website, it might be worth to look at, the different things that you can spend money on and the different things that you can spend money on, but to kind of make that list. What do you need right away? What do you need a little bit more down the road? Some things that you might actually want to spend more money to accomplish in comparison to stuff that, things that you can put off or things that you could do yourself, but to prioritize the stuff that does actually need to get done. Like seriously, business cards. Right, business cards.
Certainly
you
business
tell me
cards,
your opinion.
letterhead.
Right. And personally, if somebody hands me a business card that they print out of their printer at Staples, from Staples, like if you buy those cards that are perforated, I mean, if you really need them and you run out or something, that's one thing. But if that's what you hand to me, I just qualify you as a person that is a real business person.
Yes.
Your appearance and your presentation is really important. So that has to be considered. When I see something that I know is a crappy clip art on a business card, or, PowerPoint presentations, like you used to have that little pyramid. Do you remember? Like everything had those little pyramids on it, those little pyramids. Like when I see certain things, I just think that person's not necessarily serious about their organization. You have to look like a real business.
What you're referring to, Doreen, is that roughly when we talk about communication, 60% is nonverbal. And all of what you're talking about, whether you're talking about business cards, whether you're talking about a logo, a letterhead, a website, those are all nonverbal communications.
Right.
And that tells somebody who you are and what you are more than your words.
Right. 1,000% right. And if anybody that's listening would actually consider that when they're handed something, that's something that is in your mind, right? If you get something that's impressive, or if you get something that's cheesy, it makes a huge impression on if I want to do business with a person. Bartering is also an option for some people.
Yes.
We actually have a computer IT guy that we've bartered for a long time with, back and forth, different things for him, and it saved us money, and it's enabled us
win-win.
to accomplish, sometimes, because, you still have to pay for stuff. So if I do marketing things for him through D. James Marketing, I still am paying for stuff, and it's maybe at a lesser rate. So I'm giving him, and he's doing stuff for us that's his own cost. So it's a lesser rate. So let's just say, I'm going to make up numbers. Let's just say you charge $100 an hour for your service, but it really only costs you $25. So you're saving $75, and you're giving that service, and in exchange for the $100 an hour, you're getting product that maybe I only didn't pay $100 for either. So we're winning because it's a lesser exchange rate, and we're providing each other the value in order to accomplish whatever is the task that needs to be done. So this is something to consider, because where there's a will, there's a way, as we say, correct?
Yes.
And to be able to make something happen is incredibly important in a business. If you can't do something, it's more detrimental or problematic. So, maybe there are people that you can ask for assistance in order so you can achieve your functions and get moving forward.
Well, and I think that asking for help is a strength, as I've verbalized previously, so that a new entrepreneur need not be afraid to ask for help, to ask for assistance. The worst that happens is somebody says no.
Absolutely agreed. I think that the brainstorming is important, and just as talking about that, if you're thinking of starting a business, even if it's a similar business to somebody else, you can call people and they will talk to you. So even if it is, like I said, a similar business, maybe you would reach out to somebody that's not in your immediate competition area, or somebody that's been in business for a really long time. Get some advice and opinions and research first. Be prepared. Preparation will keep you solvent. Preparation will keep you moving forward. Not saying I haven't winged it over these past 10 years, because I'm sure a lot of us do to a certain extent, but, it does pain me, and that's the point of this, to see people who start a business, they have great intentions, and, we hear people say, oh, well, they didn't make it, they went out of business in their first 3 years. It's crazy. We continue to see a business go out of business in their first 3 years or when they first start. And
well, that's because it's so difficult to begin and succeed in business, and that's part of the reason for these podcasts, to help somebody avoid some of these mistakes. And again, one of the resources that is available is a resource like SCORE, which is not going to charge for their services, but is going to provide some expertise. There are many other similar organizations that may offer assistance without charge, and the entrepreneur needs to know about those on day one and utilize them within the framework of their available time.
Right. And again, preparation is key. So before we started our company, we went to the Stony Brook in local Long Island, but the Stony Brook Small Business Development Center. Most states have these. So anybody can look up those resources. We went, we sat, we did get a business plan outline. We did our corporation paperwork. You can actually file for a corporation yourself. You don't have to use LegalZoom or whatever, but LegalZoom and stuff like that are not necessarily too expensive anyway. But, plan. Figure out what you are working to do. And like Jerry said, make that financial projections and who are your target markets. We did actually talk about that in one of our past podcasts, being a salesperson first. That was the podcast. We did really go into that topic. Identify who you're going to sell to, identify how you're going to sell to them, and really make great strides. It's not that hard if you know what you're trying to achieve. So with that, unless there's anything else that you want to cover this day, Jerry.
No, I think that you really encapsulated it, and again, it's knowing where and how to spend the money that you have available and are going to have available, and determining that ahead of time so that you are not spending your time on a daily basis planning where you're going to get the dollar to pay the bill that came in yesterday.
Absolutely.
Because that's certainly not a productive use of one's time.
Indeed not. So in closing, I thank Jerry for his participation and his belief behind the principles of the foundation. So the Time to Play Foundation is a 501c3 not-for-profit corporation with the mission and purpose to enrich the lives of others through programs, public awareness outreach activities, events, and learning opportunities that further the concept of enjoying life. And this is one such endeavor to be able to provide resources for people so that we can have a better life, learn what you need to know so you can enjoy life. And also, D. James Marketing does sponsor the good work of the Time to Play Foundation. So if you go to djamesmarketing.com, DJAMES marketing.com, you can get some information about, making your business visible. And we thank Jim Guma for providing funding for many years to be able to make this endeavor possible. And that's pretty much it. So if you have any questions, give us a call at 631-331-2675 or email info@timetoplay.com. Go on Time to Play website, timetoplay.com. You'll be able to see wonderful resources and articles. We have over 550 articles on how to be happy, healthy, have money, and a work-life balance to have quality of life. Have a wonderful week, and we will see you guys next week. Thank you again, Jerry.
Bye.
Bye.